Alright, welcome back to The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante. And with that, let's get back into it. A rock and a hard place. The Brante home has been uneasy for several months now. With father traveling all over the province with his judicial duties, the animosity between Stephen and Gloria has grown into a full-blown feud. Your elder brother tries to use his position as heir to keep his sister in check and make her behave in accordance with her estate. Gloria repudiates his authority. Their fights rock the house on a daily basis. Eventually, after returning from his latest trip, Father gathers Stephen, Gloria, Nathan, and you in his office. His somber look portends a difficult conversation. Stephen gazes at his father defiantly. Gloria is poised to lash out and run away. Nathan quietly keeps to the side. Children. For a long time now, our family has been striving to become nobles of the sword. Every noble member of the Brante family will gain a hereditary title. This is your grandfather's dying wish. Gloria sighs loudly. Then why am I here, Sir Robert? She's right, this is a Brante matter. Wait until I finish, Stephen. I am still the head of the household. If you are truly so concerned about honor, show your father some respect. It can't be helped. Not all of us are noble, but now we must be united as never before. We must work together to protect the reputation and wealth of the family. But you, Stephen, perpetually humiliate Gloria. Father, all I'm trying to do is put her in her place. You know perfectly well the consequences of any attention Gloria might attract. Our every step is being observed. The nobles will make pariahs of our family for all eternity if they remember Gloria's filthy origins, and your reckless marriage to Lydia. Father turns red in the face, but with considerable effort, he remains composed. That is so. Our grandfather did everything in his power to remedy his mistakes. Please, Father, don't repeat them. Gloria speaks up. I'm just trying to live, Sir Robert, but Stephen wants to lock me in a cage so nobody will ever lay eyes on me. That's not it at all. You are lowborn, but you don't live by your lot. You do whatever takes your fancy. You're constantly grumbling about the order of things. Did you know, Father, that she defies all prohibitions by continuing to write poetry? As far as you're concerned, anyone who contradicts you is an insurgent. When will you grasp the idea that you may not argue with a nobleman? I am the heir of the family, and my word is your law. Purple with rage, Father slams his fist on the table. It is rare to see him so furious. Both your elder brother and sister instantly fall silent. Frightened, Nathan shrinks into a corner. Hold your tongues, both of you. Let Angelo speak. He has witnessed your quarrels. He should know best which of you is right. So we will not be appealing to Nathan. We can send Gloria to Valona, wherever that is. We can defend Gloria, which will cost us a reputation, or we can side with Stephen, which will cost us a unity. Both of those will get us negative on the relationship. I have to say, our reputation is quite low compared to our unity, so maybe we take this opportunity and side with asshole Stephen. Gloria must stop bringing shame to the family by defying her lot. You sternly reprimand Gloria. Your sister has forgotten her lot. She is ungrateful to the family she owes everything to. The Brontes gave her shelter, security, and a place in the world. Why does she insist on destroying it with her own hands? Gloria flushes with indignation. So does respecting my family mean spending my life sitting quietly in a corner? Is that what you're saying, brother? You cut her rant short. You remind Gloria that you live in the Empire, where everyone has a lot and a place. Your sister cannot jeopardize the family's well-being just because she is unhappy with the ways of the world. Angelo is right, Gloria. I am not fully content with the order of things either. As a judge, I struggle daily to ease the burden of the commoners, but I am responsible for the good name and that of our entire family, of your good name and that of our entire family. So I ask of you, no, I demand, do not take part in any dangerous gatherings, and, at least in public, please comport yourself with modesty, as your humble origins require. Very well, Sir Brante. With these quiet words, Gloria dispirited, retreats to her room. She doesn't even glance at you. Your father sighs heavily as he watches her go. At last, she listened. Don't worry, Angelo. Let her sulk a little on her own. At least she won't cause any more trouble for the family. Father agrees, but stays behind in his office, looking downhearted. Gloria does not come out to dinner. For the entire next day, she does not utter a single word. Yeah, that sucks, Gloria. But I would like to be ennobled by the sword too. The land dispute. It is the morning of a very sultry day, and you are back at the office. You are beginning to get used to the duties of your new profession. Father visits you on the job now and then to see your progress and provide advice. But by now, he is confident you can handle the work on your own. Today is your first case, assigned by the prefect himself. From the comfort of your chair, you go through the facts and circumstances of the case. The matter seems simple at first. Seeking some desperately needed financial gain, a noble from the less than wealthy El Avila family rented out a sizable portion of his estate to a well-off commoner by the name of Basil Young. As the rent payments are in order, and there is plenty of time left before the lease is set to expire. But the commoner built a large dye works on the estate, and then El Avila suddenly filed a case with the prefecture to evict him. The rental agreement specifically states that the commoner Young has the right to construct any building on the land. The noble landowner, however, thinks he has the final say on any construction since the land belongs to him. Basil Jung, on the other hand, has refused to vacate the rented land since the terms of the agreement have not expired. Both parties are to appear at the prefecture to hear your decision. The litigant, Sir Elavila, enters first. He is an aging noble who dresses far too colorfully for his years. He walks into your office with confidence and sits in front of you. The next man to enter is Basil Jung, a heavy-set man with a thick beard. Clothed in an old jacket and clutching a hat, he stands by your desk and bows to you. Sir Elavila does not hesitate to speak first. Your Honor, I demand you drive the commoner Jung from my land. His dye works is a noisy, nasty, ugly building, and I refuse to have it on my property. My family already has to endure their warehouses and their filthy workers right by our own estate, but this is simply beyond the pale. Either the court says the dye works must be demolished, or I, Gustave Elavila, will do it myself. You ask Sir Elavila to compose himself and tell the commoner to give his statement. Basil Jung gives his account, speaking in a deep, gruff bass. Your Honor, it cost me all my money to build the dye works. The contract says it clear. I got the right to build anything on the land during my rental period. And Sir Avila didn't say a word at first. But now he up and demands we demolish it? My family will be ruined. That's not going to happen, I say. Sir Elavila screams at him in return, outright outraged by what he calls his cunning trickery. The bearded Basil Jung disagrees, again and again, his pudgy fingers pointing at the clause in the agreement. It is noon already. The sun is so hot. Even the air itself seems to melt away. This is the first case ever, and it's time to deliver your verdict. Ask Jung for a bribe. Terminate the rental agreement. Comply or protect. I must say, this would get us a +1 to reputation, and I think we really need to focus on getting that, so... You propose a law that would grant noble landowners the right to terminate their rental agreements in court at any time. I wonder what the consequences of that will be. No matter what the agreement says, no commoner has the right to construct a production facility on a noble's land without the noble's permission. Presently, however, you cannot reasonably terminate such a contract between a commoner and a noble, which means that the prefecture needs to pass a law into this effect. You postpone the verdict and tell Sir El Avila and Basil Jung to leave for now. The prefecture does more than judge cases and resolve litigation. It also generates regulations that have the force of law within the province, and even the youngest judge in the employ of the prefecture may suggest a new regulation. When it comes to land agreements, it is clear that the province needs to guarantee that any noble has the right to terminate any agreement that impinges upon the ownership of their own land. And so you meticulously compose a proposal for a new provincial law. Ownership of land, as you write, is a foundation of noble authority. For all with a noble title, it is one of the boons granted to those ennobled by the sword. A noble is the sovereign of his land, and so he must have the right to recover that land if need be. The other judges eagerly support this draft, given the many litigations of this kind between nobles and commoners they face every year. It will present them with a quick and effortless solution. Eventually, even the Emperor's overseer in Margaret, Gaius Tempus, sanctions this regulation, with the name Brante mentioned therein. Your standing with Anazote high society improves. Once the new regulation is in force, you reopen El Avila's case, now armed with a legal justification. You terminate his rental agreement with Basil Jung, and restore the noble's ownership of the land. The dye works is to be demolished. What are you saying, Your Honor? I put all I had into this. My family will starve. Your decision is now backed by the provincial regulation, you remind him, and even stubborn Basil Jung has no choice but to accept it. The hapless dyer is a sorry sight, his broad shoulders hunched and drooping. The man has nothing more to say. He is ruined, and he knows it. You have my thanks, Sir Brante. This certainly took longer than I expected, but the land rights of all nobles in Margra are now well protected against scheming lowborn tenants who have grown rich beyond measure. Rest assured, the other nobles of the sword will hear of your integrity. Many newspapers have appeared in Anazote as of late, but today every single one of them writes about your law. Many periodicals praise the young judge from the Brante family as the protector of timeless noble rights. Other newspapers, however, condemn the regulations openly. They claim that it renders pointless any and all rental agreement in the province. The common estate now has no secure foundation on which to ensure the security of their trade and production facilities, since all land suitable for construction belongs to the noble estate. Yeah, that's pretty rough. We go back to 4 and 4. Get +1 to reputation though, and we lose a little willpower. Year 1139, the Archduke and the Overseer. Two powerful lords have been struggling for power in Margra for over 2 years now. The new Overseer of the province, Gaius Tempus, cannot seem to rein in the obstinate spirit of Archduke Tarquinius Milanitis. Unwilling to accept that he is no longer the Overseer of Margra, the Archduke still stubbornly continues to assert his right to rule the province. Most of the Margran gentry, who swore allegiance to him generations ago, remain loyal to him even now. Gaius Tempus has publicly demanded that the Archduke recognize the Overseer's rule as legitimate. I am the voice and will of the Emperor Uther II in the province of Margra. All lands, deeds, and titles notwithstanding, Archduke Milanitis must obey his sovereign's will and heed his decree. I hereby extend that the Archduke an offer of peace. Should the Archduke cease his insubordination, his lands, deeds, and titles shall remain his own. The Archduke's response to the Overseer was openly defiant. Since the days of yore, the land of Margra has belonged to the Milanitis dynasty. We are part of the Empire, and we are the Emperor's loyal servants. However, our dynasty will not stand for such intrusion upon our lawful rights and privileges. Never before has an Archduke been stripped of his right to represent the Emperor's rule in his own province. So do not forget, Sir Overseer, that the highest noble families of Margra have sworn fealty to me alone. Neither the Archduke nor the Overseer will relent, but both are too powerful to be readily disposed of. The bad blood between the two Archnians has festered for too long, and the common people have begun to pay the price for their strife. Stripped of the Overseer's tax privileges, the Archduke Milanitis has decided to impose his own levy upon the citizens and villagers of Margra. The commoners are now forced to pay taxes twice, first to the Overseer and then to the Archduke. This double burden is too much for the common people of Margra to bear. Many have refused the second tax outright as a lawless measure, but the Imperial Legion, led by young Dorius Aten, is ruthless. Eagerly and without mercy, the Legion's soldiers collect the Archduke's due in cities and villages alike. -1 wealth, -1 order, +1 power. So that seemed like a pretty bad event that I had no control over. A gift for the family. This last year has been an ordeal for your family. The pains taken to be ennobled by the sword, the close attention of the city aristocracy, the squabbles between Stephen and Gloria. Tonight, your preoccupied father has gathered the entire family around a table in the backyard. The sun is almost set, and there's a soft breeze. But instead of a meal in the open air, you are going to attend a family meeting. In the middle of the table, you see an open gilded box. It is full of jewels. Oh. Archduke Milanitis himself has bestowed the gift upon us. It is a surprise indeed. I thought you all had the right to know. Father unfolds a letter lying beside the box. Sir Robert Brante, I bestow this precious box upon you and your family as a symbol of the care with which I treat the people of my province. Pray accept this gift, and remember with whom the loyalty of the true nobles of Margra lies. Archduke of Margra, Tarquinius of the Milanitis. The family stares in amazement at the jewels, sparkling in the last rays of sunshine. It's worth quite a fortune, but the Archduke is fully aware that I am on the side of Prefect Elborn and Overseer Gaius Tempest. Could he really expect our loyalty to be bought so brazenly? On the other hand, the Archduke is not demanding anything of us, and our family has borne a lot of expenses recently. Father, no one is forcing you to side with Milanitis. Who are we in comparison to the Archduke anyway? We must not anger him by refusing his gift. The jewels are certainly welcome. They are worthy of being shared with the best families of Anazote. They will pave our way to the nobility of the sword. Mother shakes her head glumly. Oh, Robert, I have a feeling that this gift bodes ill. It may not be an impertinence on my part. It may be an impertinence on my part, but I do not want our family to be indebted to the Archduke. Certainly not, accepting gifts from Milanitis. He's infamous for oppressing the commoners and robbing villages blind with his taxes. This isn't your decision, Gloria. It's a matter of our family's honor and reputation. Please don't start bickering again. Let Angelo say what he thinks we should do. Let Angelo say what he thinks we should do with this gift. You are the center of attention now. Your vote will be the deciding factor. Sell the jewels, decline the gift, or give the jewels to prominent nobles as gifts. This seems like a really good option. This seems like a pretty good option. This one seems like an okay option. I'm looking at this, +2 reputation. That's a pretty big jump. Plus we get diplomacy and scheming. I like this. You accept the jewels from the Archduke. You and Stephen will give them away as gifts for the local nobility to gain their favor. You agree with Stephen. A gift from the Archduke is not to be refused. It would be better to use it for a more important goal, obtaining the nobility of the sword. You and Stephen will determine when, how, and to whom the gifts will be given. I'm inclined towards the same solution. Let it be so. I'll send a note to the Archduke expressing our humblest gratitude, but I'll point out that I don't mean to change sides. I still serve my prefect and my overseer. Be careful, Father. The Milanitis house is not to be trifled with, but the Archduke will have nothing to reproach you with. Angelo and I will put the jewels to good use. You and Stephen spend the next couple of weeks arranging meetings and attending receptions and feasts. You discover that you are on par with your brother in your understanding of the nobility of Anazote, including their relations and their quirks. The generous gifts and the refined manners your brother and you display both the aristocrats allow your family... Let me try that again. The generous gifts and the refined manners your brother and you display before the aristocrats allow your family to rise in their esteem. There is but one disadvantage. You do not have a single coin tucked away in the family treasure. I feel like we have some, though. The power of the law. You have just completed your first year of service at the prefecture. Several days after your second year begins, there's a knock on the door. You look up from your paperwork and tell the visitor to come in. Sir Elborn's secretary slips inside quietly. The prefect has an important matter to discuss with you in his office. Augustine Elborn looks weary and aged, but he greets you with his usual characteristic warmth. You take a seat in the comfortable chair across from him. Sir Elborn asks his secretary to pour you and him some wine. Sir Brante, good to see you. I hope the judge's trade is coming easily to you. I must admit, I've been watching your first cases closely. You have already had to resolve a rather difficult land dispute between the commoner and the noble. We will see even more litigation of this kind in our province in the future. Now it's time for you to answer an important question. Is this great dispute between the two estates where will you stand as a judge? Take a look around you. Life in the Empire as we know it is changing. It is our duty as nobles and judges to make peace between all the estates on the basis of law. However, the prefecture faces a great hindrance in its pursuit of this goal. Many nobles are still determined to abide only by the traditions of old, especially the Archnians. For those nobles, the only law above them is the Court of Honor, where noble ranks and duels decide everything. They reject the jurisdiction of the prefecture and outright defy the newer laws and regulations of the Empire. This is to say, nothing of what happens when an Archnian has a dispute with a human commoner. Some Archnians would rather cut a human down then and there than waste time on what they see as a pointless litigation. Even though the law says that all the Emperor's subjects have the right to a fair and just trial. One of the most flagrant violators of the law is Dorius Otten, the commander of our province's military. You've encountered him before, haven't you? That Archnian is a notorious duelist. Anyone who crosses his path risks insulting his honor. His sword has ended the lives of many human nobles, not to mention all the commoners who have been unlucky enough to run afoul of him when he was bored. Surely you realize, Brante, that we are the only ones who can protect those people. The low-born lot forbids a commoner to arm himself, and even those who would rather defy their lots have no chance against Dorius Otten, one of the most skilled Archnian swordmasters. Otten cannot be allowed to commit murder with impunity. We have to stop him and all the others who acts as he does. Imperial law must prevail over this barbarous traditions. But, as of now, I have no authority to put Otten on trial. Our province still abides by the old traditions, and humans are powerless against the dynastic powers of the Archnian aristocracy. Putting an Archnian on trial for his crimes would be unthinkable at best. We have to work gradually to change this, Brante. I need you as an ally. What we have to do is strengthen the power of imperial law in Margra, so that eventually everyone will respect the law. From humble beggars to highborn Archnians. We must show everyone that the law is not a noble instrument of oppression against the common folk like the divine law. Imperial law must stand above all, with no regard for birth, rank, or title. This is why I have decided to address you today, Angelo Brante. Side with the law. Side with your father and myself. Side with the justice in every case always, no matter who stands trial before you, be they lowly commoner or noble elite. With enough precedents, we will put an end to highborn tyranny and ensure that the law is respected throughout the province. But I must warn you, even here at the prefecture, I am not all-powerful. Many judges oppose my point of view. Not openly, at least not yet, but I am certain they will work against us in the shadows. Now, Brante, what is your answer? Are you ready to side with me and change our province for the better? Are you prepared to support me against the high-handed gentry and defend the common folk from the likes of Dorius Otten? Well, it seems like this is the thing to do. Side with Elborn. You promised to side with the prefect and support his gambit. You nod energetically, determined to support Elborn and bring nobles and Archnians under the rule of imperial law. You realize the risks, but for the future of the Empire and its subjects, you are willing to face them. You seal the promise with a handshake. The prefect leans back in his big chair and points at the glass full of wine. I never doubted you, Brante. With your potential and youthful zeal, nothing will stop us. And now, a toast, to the triumph of law in Margra. Your glasses clink methodically. The prefect takes a sip, then puts the glass down to instruct you further. Remember to be cautious. Between the powerful nobles and many other judges at the prefecture, there will be no shortage of enemies on this path. There will be times when I will be unable to help you. My own position is too unstable as it is, so please do not draw too much attention too much of their ire. Letting their wrath reach you is the last thing I want. Last but not least, we mustn't be hasty. If we move too fast and enforce the law against the nobles too soon, they might take up their swords as they have before. We have to prevent an uprising and avert bloodshed. At all times, be just. Got that backwards. But also wise and alert. I'm glad to see you on the side of justice. I'm counting on you. And you can come to me in return, Angelo Brante. May luck be with you in service to the Empire. You return to your office, your desk covered in endless paperwork as always. At first glance, nothing has changed, but now you realize the great and important cause working quietly behind your daily grind. Deep in thought, you sit at the desk once again. Your fate awaits you in service. What fate awaits you in service to this cause? Okay, we have a promise now. You gave Elborn a promise to support him in his fight against the tyranny of the nobility. An old friend. Night is falling over Anazote. The stifling heat gives way to an eagerly anticipated freshness. After a day at work, you stroll home at a leisurely pace. You turn down a side street that you have known since you were a little boy. It is as if your legs are acting on their own accord, bringing you to the place of your childhood play, the remnants of the wooden fort. So much has changed since the days when you used to play here with your little friends. Engrossed in your memories, at first you fail to notice that you are not alone here. A tall figure in a uniform of a Legion officer approaches you. You see unruly brown hair and a twinkle in his eyes. It is Thomas. Now that's a surprise. Hi, Brante. Fancy running into you the moment I'm back in town. Your childhood friend puts an arm around you. Our battalion got transferred here recently. We're under the command of the Margra Legion now. I'm keeping the peace and maintaining order in my very own province. Well, why don't we catch up? Let me buy you dinner. We'll have a little chat. Remember the old days. Thomas cuts himself short. You suddenly notice how much older he looks. His face has become sharper and rougher, and his eyes are filled with exhaustion rather than their usual mischievous sparkle. I should warn you though, Angelo, I ain't the best company nowadays. I've managed to get myself some powerful enemies already. I'm a friend who could taint your good name. So if you'd rather not be seen with me, well, I understand. The smile on his face starts to fade. I see. We cannot walk away. We made an oath of friendship to Thomas. So, well, this doesn't seem so bad. We're going to lose a reputation, but you aren't about to miss a chance to spend some time with your old friend, no matter what kind of danger he is in. You give Thomas your hand. You shake hands firmly. So you haven't forgotten your old friend, Brante. That's the way it ought to be. Well, come on then. You go to a tavern, reminiscing about your childhood antics on these very streets along the way. You choose a table in the far corner of the tavern. Thomas orders a bottle of good wine and some food. You talk about your latest case, about your first years back in Anazote. You share family news, your quest to become nobles of the sword, the quarrels between the elder brother and sister, your mother's health. Thomas nods with concern. Sounds like you've had some tough times. Your family has always been different. Mine, on the other hand, is the same as it ever was. My pa is always in his workshop, and my ma's always doing chores. But look at me. I came home a service-class nobleman, although it doesn't bring me much joy anymore. Thomas is suddenly grim. You ask your old friend to share his troubles with you. He quickly glances around the room and lowers his voice. Well, I'm a captain in the Margran Legion now. And who's our commander? His Excellency Dorius Otten. That's right. I serve under the very same Archdeacon whose toes I stepped on back in Eterna. And you better believe he remembers me. I'm afraid things are gonna end real bad. But hey, I'll figure it out somehow. Don't trouble yourself over it. Apart from that, well, it's just the usual service. We impose order in uppity towns and villages, protect the province, that sort of thing. And we run drills all day long. Obviously. If only you knew how sick I am of the barracks, Angelo. I've thought about starting a family. My ma keeps telling me to find a nice girl to marry. She says it's high time I got hitched. It is completely dark, and you are still talking. Finally, Thomas remembers that his parents are waiting for him. You get up from the table, leaving some dirty dishes and quite a few empty bottles behind. On your way out, you catch a glimpse of a nondescript figure following you to the door. As you walk alongside Thomas through your home neighborhood, you keep glancing over your shoulder, but the shadow that was following you has disappeared. You reach your street and stop for a while, in the semi-darkness between your family homes, just as you used to all those years ago. Bye, Brante. I hardly ever come to Anazote these days. Our battalion is always on the march all over the province, but twins willing, we'll see each other again real soon. You advise your friend to safeguard his every life. Okay, that's a max relationship with Thomas. We take a hit on reputation, but we gain a lot of willpower. Alright, and with that, I do believe it's time for me to go ahead and call it. Take a break. Thanks for watching. More to come. I love you. Not really.